What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Nerd Rage Radio's Top 5s. And today we are going to be talking about the top 5 most impactful or game-changing third-party releases. We have the right to change our opinion at any moment in time, including tomorrow morning, or including when we see one of your comments. It's like, oh yeah, that is a good choice. But for right now, these are ours. Please leave yours in the comments.
Please.
We will not read them, but every now and then I get an email about them, and then I'll check that one out.
Maybe.
This is just an example of what you can expect on our weekly podcast that you can find for free wherever podcasts are found. That's Nerd Rage Radio. My number 5 is MMC's Bruticus. And it's furthest down the list, but I think the fact that somebody actually made a all-inclusive, non-parts forming combiner is not only a game changer for a third party, it's a game changer for Transformers in general.
Yeah.
I think it suffers for it in many ways. Yep. You know, it's the constant thing of when you were a kid and you like combine one thing and then you had to like bring the feet out of nowhere or bring the hands out of nowhere that kind of killed the suspension of disbelief. And then and it's gotten even more insane with some of the Toy World stuff where it's like you bring the entire body component over, which makes it an effective piece. But I think there's a novelty to that MMC thing that like has always been sort of thought about or what if'd, and to see it come to fruition.
That's always been what I wanted.
Yeah, and I don't know if anybody else really has the engineering prowess to pull it off. Like they have really good designers over there that make it fun and not a nightmare, even though you're hiding a whole foot in their pants.
Right.
You know?
Like Jinkos.
So I got to give it up.
Jinkos. Remember Jinkos?
Yeah.
Some of us do.
Number 5, Joseph.
Well, I don't know if it's true or not, but I think these people had the engineering first, and that's TFC Hercules.
TFC Hercules.
Including the forearms. It was part of the tracks, I think.
Well, I also think that is a game-changing piece in general,
yes,
like outside of engineering. It was just...
But yeah, when I saw that on eBay randomly, I'm like, what is this?
Right.
Like I didn't think it was possible to have a Transformers look like that and do that.
I had the exact same situation happen. I was eBaying Transformers Masterpiece, and then I saw Transformers Masterpiece Devastator, and I was like, what the and then I clicked on it, and then like it was like third party Devastator, and then that was
it opened my eyes to third party.
Yep,
like,
same here.
In that light, I knew about third party, but not fully formed figures that combined. And like in hindsight, it looked silly.
Yeah,
but at the time, it was the best looking thing out there,
and it was huge. You know what I mean? Like, and I bought it off of eBay, and when it arrived, it was without its boxes and everything, and it was just like
one of those.
Yeah, there was just like the vehicles wrapped up in bubble wrap.
Yep.
And when I had them all in vehicle mode laid out like on the table, like I instantly heard like the dun 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 dun. You know, it was like so like it was a moment. You know, and plus like because I got into it late, like getting the whole combiner at one clip.
Yeah.
You know, it was
$600.
Yeah,
I think mine cost me $450.
I don't remember
that, which was $50 off the sticker price, so to speak. But they were without boxes, without instructions. You know, just complete. But yeah, game changer.
Number 5 is, so a lot of this for me is looking from the outside because I'm not nearly as involved in third party as I was at one point. But things that stood out to me. The first one is Toy World Constructor, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was the first truly masterpiece scale combiner, and it led the way to a lot of your great big giant truly masterpiece scale combiners. And wow, they sure did milk the mold on that one. Was it like 12 or 13
yellow,
versions,
black,
but it was sturdy. You know, like that's what was crazy about it. Like not only did they change the game in terms of like the size and scale and make it actually appropriate, but then on top of that, it was like the most solid.
I mean, you
combiner to
date. They started the Pansformers.
Yeah, the Pansformers.
Unfortunately,
that's the part that makes everything work.
Yeah, you're right.
It seems like I've seen several people that have had it for years and now are taking it apart, or trying to take it apart.
It's not easy.
It's sturdy to a fault.
It is not easy.
I think it's sturdy to a fault. But yeah, I thought that was a good choice there.
And I love that one still because like it's like kind of what I always talk about with that balance. Like it's definitely G1. There's no mistaking it as being anything different than G1, but it's not. It doesn't look like that.
Yeah, it's not.
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't look stupid. So my number 4 is Fans Project City Commander, the Ultra Magnus, which was using like the core body bot system with the such and such. Like,
With
I think
Chug.
Yep. And I think it's what took the upgrade kit third party era to the next level, which then set the stage for somebody to just say, okay, we're just going to make the figures now. It's almost like that figure to me is the missing link between upgrade kits and original figures. And that built the bridge between the two. And I'm not sure, what would have happened had that piece not come out when it did.
They milk that mold too.
Oh, for sure.
Prime one, they got a black one.
None of them are above milking a mold, I can tell you that.
Number 4, I have Quake Wave. There was when third party mania was at its full height, and everyone can't wait to get these third party figures and like put Fans Toys kind of like on the map.
100%. It always gets credit for being like the game changing masterpiece third party element, but it also changed the idea of what you can charge.
Yes.
Because that when that thing came out, I think it was 150, and like, I mean, I clutched my pearls.
Yeah.
Now you don't skip a beat.
No, I mean, I think that part of it is because they saw how third party companies saw what things go for on eBay.
Yeah.
Secondary market, they're like, well, we can just charge more first party.
Yep.
I have, and I may be wrong about this, but DX9 War in Pocket, because it started, the best I can tell by looking, the Legends class frenzy, so to speak.
Yeah, I think you're right. I get confused. We were just talking about it earlier because there was a couple other Legends that all kind of came out around the same time. They're like 2-packs, and then so my number 3 is also Toy World's Constructor. Okay. Once again, for the same reasonings: the size, the stability, also the expectation of the proportions of what a combiner should look like. And I think that it's even interesting if you look at like Takara's Raiden, their train set that's coming. It's like they didn't get the email. It's like they didn't get the memo that oh wait, Takara, we've fixed this problem. Yeah. We've already fixed how the proportions are supposed to look. You're too far behind the 8 ball on this. Yep. But because I don't think they're paying attention, and as a result, I think that they feel and look a bit antiquated. Yeah. In comparison. But Toy World did it, and then we saw DX9 do it. X Transbots has done it to a less, in my opinion, successful extent, but they've still followed the same format. And then of course, Zeta spawns from Toy World, so that's all wrapped up in the same thing. But it's like it redefined the expectation of masterpiece combiners like overnight, and kind of out of the blue. I remember like Generation Toys Devastator, which is also great.
Like I went that route.
It's also great. They rolled it out, and it was like a slow burn, and then as theirs started to release, Toy World was like, boom, we're doing the whole thing all at once. What do you think about that? How do you like that? Like it was. And
it seems like it came out really from when they announced it to when it actually came out.
Yeah, it was pretty prolific.
The first version, I mean.
Yeah. I agree.
Number 3, the Megatron War.
Oh yeah,
it's 2 things. Is that like I don't know. I don't think it was the first like war that third party companies had, but like it solidified that hey, everybody can compete with Hasbro.
Yeah,
or Takara. It's like look, everyone's making a better looking Megatron, and take your pick.
Yeah,
and as if they're each a feat of engineering, because you look at what Takara can do from a gun to a robot, and you see what everybody else can do.
Yeah,
I know that's not a favorite pick. Like my picks usually aren't the favorites, but like, I love Apollyon.
Yeah, so I love aspects about each. Yeah. When I look,
a good figure.
When I look back at it, like because DX9 did one, XTB did one,
Make
Toys did one, and then Takara had their 36, but that was like a year later or something.
I think it was more than that. It was could have been a couple years later.
And I think it doesn't look as good because it's too inaccurate.
Yeah, I agree. And the gray and.
Yeah.
But I think that like looking back at if I were to choose like the best overall Megatron, the one that does it all the best, robot, transformation, alt mode, etc., I would probably choose the Make Toys one, but Make Toys has the weakest gun mode in the same breath, but it's like I think that the robot and the transformation is the most successful and kind of the scariest Megatron available,
Number 3 for me, I'm going to move from the Megatron Wars to the Prime Wars.
Yes.
And I think that Magic Square bringing out their masterpiece Prime for the light of someone, I don't remember the name.
Yeah.
With that aesthetic at that time for that price point was a game changer.
And also the balls to put out a Prime.
Yeah. At like the same time.
How many were around that time?
It was Transformation Element, Magic Square, and then the Takara one. And they were both competing heads up with Takara. Transformation Element has KO roots, so theirs is even hotter, in my opinion, in terms of like the block being hot.
Right.
I do agree that it was a moment because it was like it really spoke to the price gap
It did. I mean, it was what, $150 maybe.
I don't even know if it was that.
And the masterpiece was like $450.
Yeah,
like
that's
trailer and all that.
Amount of money.
And it just spoke to like, oh man, look what these companies can do. Now, I do think that the car is built better. I think it's painted better. There's a lot of things
better,
but not $450 better. You know, like, but it spoke to, you know, because it used to be the opposite, right? Third party was the super ultra expensive. Is it really worth it? Blah blah blah. And then now the tables had turned, and I think it does define a moment.
Exactly.
And I mean, I think we can speak on this because we are people who are willing to spend money on toys. It's not that we're like, oh, too cheap for it or whatever. Right. It's like, price is not right.
Right. It's not appropriate.
Yeah, it's overpriced. I can see something and see something's overpriced. It's not that I don't have the money for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the first time that I chose against a product that I actually prefer elements of due to the price, because I was like, man, it's just not worth it to me. The Magic Square is good enough for me. And I usually don't allow price to dictate my choices, you know? So it is interesting. So my third piggybacking is also the Warren Pocket. You know, it's not necessarily those pieces. It's what those pieces turned into. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily Chuck Berry. It's that Chuck Berry spawned rock and roll. You know, it's like it's, you know, it's like one of those things. Third party, you know, it was like a Chug thing, and then it was kind of supplemented by Masterpiece. And then it became a Masterpiece thing, and it was kind of supplemented by Legends. And now it's a Legends thing that's supplemented by Masterpiece, and that all traces back to a few releases, of which I think Warren Pocket was the most notable, if not the first, when they may have been the first.
I'm sure you guys will tell us that we're wrong.
Yeah, but it also,
I wouldn't know.
I can't wait to learn.
It was like
well, actually,
it was also that's
a good one.
It was also the mindset, you know. It was like, because it is thinking about it, like a bold choice of like, look, let's do something a little bit cheaper but still pricey and super small, and just see if it works. And the fact that it worked, to me, still blows my mind.
A lot of people swapped to it, and a lot of people like me would say, I would have started with that.
Yeah,
that wasn't available first.
Yeah, and I just came from the 3 3/4 world, so like there was no way I was going in on another little collection. But
my number 2 is Toywood Devastator.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking this list as like impactful, not like what the figure itself or what it did for like the industry, but like most people are in that scale now. Combiners have to be in that scale. When somebody else comes out with something that's not Zeta, they're like, but does it scale with Zeta though?
Yeah.
That's the question. When Menasor came out, they're like, how does it scale with Zeta stuff? And that spawns from the Toywood Devastator. Yeah,
it really set the benchmark for what those combiners on the Masterpiece scale need to look like, you know, size-wise and aesthetics to a point. Number 2 for me is the piggyback off you is a TFC Hercules. Just because that story you guys just told, I have heard that from so many people.
There's a lot of literally
that was the gateway drug to third party, because I mean, just stumbling upon it on eBay. I've heard that from so many people that that's how they found third party, was through that, you know, Devastator. Because that's something I think people had a really fond memory of as a child, even if you just kind of were an absentee fan of it. That you know, oh wow, they're construction vehicles, which was cool when we were kids, and then they combine into a robot, and you know, probably just a look for that.
I also think it was twofold, because while kids have fond memories of that, I think all kids were always disappointed with the combined mode, you know? Like, so like just one that was like functioning was a game changer. And then in the same breath, like I think that that being a lot of people's first, and the price point, you know, being on eBay or whatever, being such a square kick in the nuts from Jump Street, I think it kind of numbed a lot of people to what this is going to be about. Like, okay, money is going to have to be somewhat fluid. So my number 1 is Quake Wave. If I think about the history of it, how many pieces were released up until Quake Wave, where they were kind of like Chugster piece. They were kind of like the Voyager. It was kind of a Voyager scale. So it kind of, you could have it with your Chugs, or you could have it with your MPs and sort of squint and tilt your head and make it work.
Right.
But then eventually, when that Quake Wave came out, it was like, all right, let's just all stop pretending, shall we? Shall we? This is what a masterpiece is, and these things have to now get off the shelf because they don't fit anymore. You know, and I think just for that, and then, you know, the amount of people that followed suit, and arguably to third parties' detriment, you know, because I think that eventually, not in the Megatron era, but afterwards, they couldn't all compete in the same space because they were doing the same thing. It led to the destruction of third party. You could say that Quake Wave is responsible for the destruction of third party if you trace it back, you know.
That's fair.
But it also is responsible for the majority of third party pieces that I currently own, you can trace that family tree back to Quake Wave.
Right.
You know?
Number one for me is City Commander. That was the first third-party piece I actually had before I even got into third-party. I got it years ago as like a novelty piece because it was so interesting.
Yeah.
I guess I was younger. I just could not fathom how fans or like a small project or small groups of people can get a plastic mold done. Because to me, up to that point, anything that's third party is resin kits.
Yeah, garage kits.
Garage kits that you had to paint yourself. But that was like, wait, this is a fully finished plastic piece? And I was just mind blown.
100%.
And they had like a cool 3D presentation video of like how the thing transforms.
I don't even remember that because I got in after that. You know, I had to do my research to find out about that once I got in, like, because that was part of the learning process too of it, which I think is a fun and exciting thing about third party.
Yes, how you get into it.
Once you get into it and trying to figure it all out and find out who the players are and connect the dots, and it's like part of the fun.
Number one for me, without a doubt, and I think it's true just for third party, but it was for me especially is Fans Toys Scoria.
Yeah,
that was my first third party purchase, and I was blown away by it.
Yeah, I mean,
very loyal to that company till I was
not
done with that part of the hobby. So
I mean, it sets you up for the idea that you have to wait a year between pieces for 5 years,
right?
Plus to get the set done.
And all things considered, it's held up pretty well.
Yeah,
I know they did that other version that
Cesium.
Yeah.
With that being said, feel free to let us know what your top fives are in the comments. On top of that, please check out Nerd Rage Radio, our weekly podcast, which you can find wherever your podcasts are listened to. Wherever. Yeah.
They're timeless episodes.
In many ways. And in many ways, they have a time on them.
All of this is true.
But Pinkerton, where can they find you?
Crashbox Customs all across the fruited plain.
And Joe, where can
on Nerd Rage Radio.
On Nerd Rage Radio, which you can find wherever podcasts are found. And with that,
flappy lips,
tasty toenails,
tight trash player.